Hello, Peter from Sunny Valley Studio here with a short tutorial on how to make a field inside the inspector read-only. So I have this setup where the enemy will chase me if it sees me, but otherwise it will stay idle. I wanted to have the start state as idle, but then I want for the debug purposes to see how my AI is reacting to my character. So I'm going to press play and let's see. Right now the current state will be idle. I'm going to walk towards my enemy, it will be chase, then it comes closer, it will attack me, and I'm going to run away from its field of vision and it will be back to idle state. But I do not want to change it through the inspector in case someone else was working on this project. So how can we make this field non-editable but still be able to see what is going on with this field in the inspector? I came across this article by this person and he has apparently found a solution for it, so I will link in the description this article. I'm going to show you in this video how we would implement those classes, the read-only attribute and read-only drawer in the editor folder, so that we can make our property read-only. So first of all, what we will need to do is to create a custom attribute that we will be able to apply to our variable that we have in our script. Now, if we take a look into Unity documentation, we can see that there is something called property attribute, a base class to derive custom property attributes from. And that's basically what we want to create. And below it, we can see that a custom attribute can be hooked up with a custom property drawer. So let's click it. And in turn, this class will allow us to create in the editor folder a script that will be responsible for directing Unity how our code should be displayed in the editor. So you can see an example here that we are extending the property drawer and we are changing the way the Unity displays our information in the inspector. Okay, so what we will want to do is, first of all, we will want to create a script. So I'm going to create in the assets folder, right click, create a C# script. I'm going to call it read-only inspector attribute. Okay, I'm going to open this script up in Visual Studio. Okay, we would delete the update and start methods, and instead of inheriting from monobehavior, we are going to inherit from property attribute. And this will turn this read-only inspector attribute into an attribute. So let's save it. Let's go back to Unity. So what does it mean that it is an attribute? I'm going to go to my enemy, where is the script that I want to modify. I'm going to click those three dots and edit this script. Great. And I want to find my property that I want to make read-only. This is the current state. So I'm going to add an attribute, read-only inspector. You might already see that the attribute word was deleted from the name, so we have only this read-only inspector, but our code is called read-only inspector attribute. Great. But now if we save it and we go back to Unity, nothing spectacular has happened with our field in the inspector. So we will need to do one more thing. We will need to create an editor folder in our assets folder. So right click, create folder. Let's call it editor. And the name is important, so make sure you call it editor. Enter this folder. And here we will need to create another script. So right click, create C# script, and let's call it read-only inspector drawer. Okay, let's open this script up in Visual Studio. Great. Now again, we do not need update and start methods. And what we will want to extend is not monobehavior, but the second class that I have shown you, which is property drawer. We will not have it imported in our script, so we need to type it. And now we can Alt-Enter on it, and we should have a tip using Unity Editor. And that's what we want to use. We can delete the system.collections and Unity Engine library. Now, what we will need to add here is also an attribute to make sure that this property drawer points to our custom class, custom attribute. So let's type in square brackets custom, and we have custom property drawer, Next, in the parentheses, we need to specify the type, so type of, and we are going to create yet another parenthesis, and let's type the name of our class, read-only inspector attribute. Now, this will make sure that when we place our attribute, so our read-only inspector, this property drawer will be responsible for drawing this property. So how does it do it? Well, let's type override, and we should have, after we press space, names of the methods that we can override, and the one that performs the drawing is the onGUI. So let's double tap on it, and I might have been too quick to delete the using Unity engine, so Alt Enter on the rect, and we should see that we will need to still use Unity engine library. Okay, so now our base.onGUI will simply draw the property as is. But instead of it, we are going to use the code from the article, and we are going to make sure that it is drawn as it should be, so non-editable. So first of all, we will need to access GUI enabled, and let's set it to be false. Now, what we will need to do is we are going to call editor GUI, and this will allow us to draw the property itself, so whatever has the attribute added to it. So we are going to add dot and property field, and this is the property field that we want to draw, and we need to pass to it the position and the property. So we are going to pass basically what we have received from our onGUI method. So let's type position, let's type property, so those are the parameters from the onGUI method, and let's type label. Okay, this will draw our property in the inspector, but the inspector, the GUI of the inspector will be not enabled, so we will not be able to edit it. And now we need to reset this GUI.enabled equals true. So again, we will be able to edit anything that comes after, what is drawn after this field with this attribute read-only inspector. Okay, and that's basically it. So let's save it, and let's go back to Unity. Okay. And with that done, and with the attribute applied to the current state, now the current state is not editable, but still if I press play, it will be changed to idle state because this is what I want to be the start state. And I'm going to walk towards the enemy that I have, and this will be in chase state, and then it will be in the attack state. So I know that my AI system works great. So see you in the next video. Take care.